So I recently discovered that the Disney Store Online is actually selling things from the Galaxy's Edge part of the Disney parks, which until recently you had to either actually go to the parks to get or pay a lot of money on the secondary market to get. And so I was very excited to see that, and I decided I would pick up a number of items that I had had my eye on, and a few items that I didn't even know existed until just now, just when I found them online. So what I want to do is just go through all of these and show you what I got. Now this item here is available on Disney's website, but I actually got this one through the secondary market only a few weeks before they started selling them on Disney's website. So, you know, yay. I've been putting this off for like a year, and finally broke down, bit the bullet, and bought one, and then they start selling them online. But whatever. This, as you can probably tell just by looking at it, is the Kowakian Monkey-Lizard that they're selling at the parks. There's actually two versions of it. One is this one that looks like Salacious Crumb, sort of the standard, and then they also have a rainbow version that's come from a Clone Wars cartoon episode. I'm kind of tempted by that one too, but for the moment I only have the sort of classic version. Now this, as I said, is called a Kowakian Monkey-Lizard. It's not called Salacious Crumb, but it might as well be Salacious Crumb. Most people getting it are probably thinking of it as him, as the character. Although, as you'll see, size-wise, it's not quite up to snuff. It comes in this cardboard cage, as you can see here. It's got a punch-out handle. I guess there's a handle here on the side if you want to hold it that way as well. And I think when you buy these at the parks, they're just kind of all lined up on the shelves, and they give you, you know, one of these boxes that you can put it in if you want. But it's not like there's anything inside, no packing material or styrofoam or anything. So it's not like a real retail package in that sense. Also, I guess this must be shared between a number of different creature products. It just says creatures on it, and there's nothing sort of specific to Salacious Crumb, so, or I should say the Kowakian Monkey-Lizard, of course. Let's go ahead and get him out of here. We'll free you from your cage, and I'll tell you what I think of it. This retails online for about $60, both versions. As I said, ended up paying more than that, although not a huge amount more. Still, it did sting a little bit. Oh, this is a little unwieldy. So here we have the guy in question. The main idea behind this product is that you have this sitting on your shoulder as you sort of walk around the park, and he's, you know, just your little friend there as you're walking around. He comes with a metal sort of plate, I guess you'd say, that you're meant to put underneath your clothing on your shoulder. So that here's your shoulder, you'd have clothing going over it, and then you'll have him sit on this metal plate. He's got magnets in his butt so that they will latch on there fairly strongly, and he'll just sit there. And I will say, actually, this is a pretty well thought out feature. I really kind of like this, and I could see a lot of people using this kind of thing for some sort of cosplay, you know, costume or something like that. I do kind of wish that it was easier to get him to just to sit down, you know, just and display him somewhere. The main problem is, as you may be able to tell, he's got a black wire coming out of his bottom, and the reason for that is that he's got this remote control here. Okay, so the idea is you'll have him on your shoulder, you will take this remote control, which is basically like a sort of, I don't know, hydraulic or pneumatic device. Doesn't use any electricity. It just kind of changes the pressure, I guess, to make various parts move. If you do this, he will move his head back and forth like that. And if you do the trigger, He will open his mouth thusly. If you have the power turned on the bottom, when you open the mouth, he will make noise. That's a long laugh. So, you know, it's just random, as far as I know, random noises that he can make. We'll turn that off for now. And that's pretty much it. He has a reasonable amount of articulation, though. He's got, you know, ankle, knee, hip, wrist, elbow, and shoulder, although these are all mostly pretty simple joints. Like, for example, the wrist joint, it's just a cut joint that turns like this. You can't, like, move it all around like a ball joint would be. Other joints are a little bit better, like the elbows and so forth, but he does have a bit of a range, limited range of movement. I would say, in terms of his appearance, he looks quite good. He's got a nice paint job. There's some subtle sort of shading and color variations. You can see he's got some stripes on his tail that have been airbrushed on, I guess, and he's got some spots on his back here. He's also got, well, most of his body is hard plastic like this, but on his tummy and on his sort of neck and chin area, it's covered in what appears to be either rubber or silicone, like that, and that allows him to, you know, open his mouth without having there be a seam here, which is kind of cool. I like the hair that they've put on here. Looks pretty good. So in terms of complaints, really the only thing I have is, as I said, it's difficult to get him to sit because of this thing that's attached here. But that's relatively minor, and especially when you consider that, you know, this is intended as a shoulder writing kind of prop, I think that's okay. The other thing would be that it's too small, you know, at least if you want it to be Salacious Crumb, it's too small. But, you know, to be fair, they don't say that it's Salacious Crumb, they just call it a Kowakian Monkey-Lizard, so it could be any Kowakian, I guess. Could be a baby or just a runt. And, you know, ultimately, if you are going to have it on your shoulder, you really can't have it be full size. It would be too big. And it would also, of course, be too expensive to buy, I would imagine. So, really, I don't have any major complaints about this. I think this is a really great little toy and, you know, / prop. If you want a sort of close to life-size Salacious Crumb, I think this is probably your best, well, it's definitely your best bet right now in terms of cost and you know, being able to actually get it. You could have someone make one for you or something like that, or you could use the well, you know, Disney did release that vinyl one that I have talked about in my top 10 Salacious Crumb collectibles video, which you can see up there. But honestly, I would choose this one over those. And just to give you an idea of how it compares to the life-size Salacious Crumb from Sideshow Collectibles, let me give you a shot of that right here. He's obviously quite a bit smaller than that, but it's actually pretty cute to have them together. It reminds me of like a father and son or something like that, so that's pretty cool. So, definitely I would recommend this one if you're interested. This would be the time to get it, I think. I don't know how long these Galaxy's Edge items are going to be available, but possibly not on a permanent basis. It might just be during sort of the pandemic type thing. You know, obviously they're not getting a lot of visitors to the parks right now, and they're trying to kind of make up for that lost revenue, I would imagine. So, moving right along, we have an item. We'll just sit Salacious over here. I keep calling him Salacious. Oh, well, that's good enough. We'll call him Salacious Crumb. The next item is something that I didn't even know existed. This, you may be able to tell what it is, or you may not be able. It is, and I'm going to have to read the read the label here. I'm going to remember what it's called. It is a Chindinkalu flute. Chindinkalu flute with sound effects and authentic music. What is that? Well, this is actually Droopy McCool's flute from the Max Rebo band. So that is pretty awesome. If you had told me that they were going to make a an official replica of Droopy McCool's flute, I never would have believed it, and especially that it would be a working instrument. That's kind of crazy. This retailed for $24.99. We'll see how I feel about that price in just a second. But as I said, this is a real playable instrument in some sense. It's got a bunch of buttons along here. These are all buttons, and there's also one down here. It took me a while to figure all this out, by the way. There's not really any instructions, per se. I mean, there's a little bit in here. I can show you the inside. It says, well, there are instructions. I guess I was just not... I was not looking at them properly or something. It requires 2 AAA batteries, and this does sort of explain what the various buttons do, but, to allow me to do that for you, down here is the on-off button. So this is, it's a switch, actually. Once you have that on, all of these buttons here will be live, and you can play music such as it is. I am not really, well, I'm not the most musical person in the world, and I also don't know how to play this particular thing, but, you could, I imagine, play some reasonably good, or at least recognizable tunes on here. Doesn't sound so much like a flute as a trumpet. Then there's also this button right here, which, if you press it, will play some music from the movies. It all comes out here. There's basically a speaker. And that's pretty much it. It's made out of kind of slightly cheap-feeling plastic. It's got an okay paint job, but it's, not really up to prop replica standards. Let me turn that off. Well, actually, let me press it again. I think, yeah, press it again, you get another sort of selection. And then, yeah, there's basically just the 2, I guess. And they're both from the special edition, unfortunately, so you don't have the classic music, from Return of the Jedi, unfortunately. As I was saying, it's not quite up to, prop replica standards. It's got these big seams, and it does feel plasticky. So $25, I mean, when you consider how just very limited and niche, I guess, this product is, maybe it's fair, but it does seem kind of high. Seems a little bit on the cheap side, to be frank. But I am pretty glad that I have it all the same. So there we have the Chindinkalu flute. Next up is another creature, actually. Just a moment. Let me find him. Oh, there we are. We'll zoom in just a little bit. This is, of course, a Worrt. This is a creature we saw outside of Jabba's palace. Well, look there. It says amphibian, home planet Tatooine, diet omnivore. And yeah, I mean, not a lot of information there, really, but costs $30, and he's made out of what appears to be vinyl, I guess. So he's relatively soft. All this stuff is soft, rubbery materials, except for the tongue, which is his only real feature. If you press on his back, there's like a little lever you can press, and it makes him shoot out his tongue thusly. You can't easily make him keep his tongue out. It always seems to want to go back in, although I have been able to get it just right to make it stick out. But yeah, basically the idea is that he'll sort of stick his tongue out. Of course, his big scene in the film was when he was shooting out his tongue to eat something there in front of Jabba's palace. So, I mean, that's definitely an appropriate feature for him. And I think the sculpting is pretty good. I like the paintwork here. So it does feel toy-like. And you've also got, like here, this is where they have, and here as well, where they've shoved in the mechanism for his tongue, I guess. So, you know, this is where they would have put it in. I'm not sure why they even need this, but I don't know. I'm not really understand how this was assembled, but in any case, you know, maybe not quite up to high-end prop standards, but if you just want a Worrt to sit around your room or office, I think this looks really good, actually, from a distance, and I'm pretty happy with this one. It has a nice size, too, for $30. It's not too bad. Worrt, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, in terms of things that I got today, we have by far the heaviest item. Let me put this up here. This, as you may be able to tell, is a Dejarik board. Dejarik is, of course, the chess game that C-3PO and Chewbacca were playing on the Millennium Falcon with the holographic chess pieces that move around and kill each other and so forth. I was really interested to see this. This retailed for $50, I believe, and I haven't opened it yet, so I'm really interested to see. It looks, from the picture, like the board should actually be wood, which would be really cool. It comes with the holographic figures, and it says it has 8 Dejarik pieces, 24 checkers, game board, and instructions. I don't know for sure if it means that it has instructions for playing with these classic pieces. I think that would be cool if it does, but you know, it definitely does come with regular checkers as well, so you can use it for that if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, before we do that, though, let me show you the back of this, because it does give you a little bit better view of everything, and it also gives you all of the names of all of the pieces there, which I cannot claim to know. So that's kind of cool. All right, let's open it up. And here we have the board itself. It actually looks really nice. I would say, I'll tell you what, let's take these guys off. We'll look at them closely in just a second and look at the board. It is made out of wood, or at least some sort of, you know, this feels like wood anyway. This is some sort of veneer, I think. Mine does have a little chip here, though, right out of the box, which is disappointing. It comes with this section that's detachable. As you can see, on one side it's got the Dejarik board, on the other side it's got just regular checkers, and underneath it's got some checker pieces that actually remind me a lot of a set of checkers that I designed for 3D printing, which you can see on Thingiverse. I'll put a link in the video description. I used basically the same idea with the Rebellion and Empire markers and whatnot. So if we look inside here, boy, this is super heavy. This looks really nice, doesn't it? It looks like some sort of fancy serving tray or something like that. This part looks nicer than the part that you actually play on, for whatever reason. On the bottom, it's also pretty nice, but this is not wood. This appears to be resin, perhaps, that's been painted, or it's got a decal on it to look like wood, I'm guessing. It's got another little chip right there. See if we can see that. So that's a little disappointing. In a couple places right out of the box, we've got chips. But overall, I think this feels like a high quality item. And it's quite heavy, as I mentioned, so, you know, that sort of always tends to make you feel like something is higher quality. It's funny how psychology works. So if we put that back, we can look at the individual pieces. Now, I will say these pieces, not fantastic. They appear to be kind of simplistically sculpted, and also the paint jobs are a little bit slapdash, right? They feel a little cheap. but they're all right. We're going to take a closer look at some of these. I mean, not terrible, but compared to, well, certainly compared to what we saw in the film, and compared to some of the, like, prop replica type versions that I've seen people make, these definitely seem toy-like. And to be fair, it's a toy, but still, I'm a little bit disappointed in the level of detail on these sculpts. Now, I mentioned about the rules. It does, in fact, come with rules for Dejarik. Now, I don't know if, not having really followed this in the past, if rules for Dejarik had existed before, or if this is something that they've made up new. But they do have rules. I've just glanced at them, but, you know, it seems like it's an actual game that you can actually play with people. I may try that with my son or daughter later on if we can figure it out. They also have instructions for checkers. And here it looks like a little cheat sheet maybe for each person to look at and maybe remember what the rules are for different pieces and so forth. So that's actually pretty cool. I like that they have actually made the effort to make this into a real playable game. So definitely, I think for $50, this seems like a reasonably good value, actually. We can look at these just real quick here. I think these feel pretty plasticky and cheap, and they're also quite small for checkers. Let's see if I can look at that. I mean, they're all right, but nothing fancy. But it's kind of nice that they did include these as a secondary game mode, if you will. All right, well, that's pretty much my big Galaxy's Edge haul for now. I will go ahead and put links to all of these items. They're not like affiliate links or anything like that, but just links in the video description if you're interested in looking at them. As far as I know, these are all still available, but it's possible some have sold out since I looked last, so can't guarantee. And I'm interested to hear maybe if you're thinking of getting something, or if you have gotten anything from Galaxy's Edge on Disney's online store. Let me know what you got and what you think of these items that I got. There is one item in particular that I've been having my eye on from Galaxy's Edge that is not available from the Disney Store online. It's the big sail barge plaque with Jabba on it. Apparently, I don't know, maybe that's too niche of an item or something, but they don't have that one available to order, at least as far as I'm aware. But I do hope that they maybe have that one available at some point, sometime soon as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.